The deep. The first thing Marcus noticed was the angle. After 16 years as a saturation diver, your body learns the geometry of level ground the way a pilot knows the horizon. Even locked inside a pressurized chamber breathing helium-oxygen mix that made his voice sound like a cartoon character, Marcus could feel when something was wrong. The deck plate beneath his feet had shifted maybe 2 degrees. Not much, but enough. You feel that? Yuri's helium-distorted voice squeaked from the bunk across the cramped living chamber. The Russian sat up, his weathered face creasing with concern. Marcus checked his watch. 0340 hours. They were on day 6 of their saturation cycle, their bodies compressed to match the pressure at 120 meters below the surface where they'd been working on the subsea pipeline. The chamber, their prison and sanctuary, kept them at that same crushing pressure. Up here on the barge, their blood was saturated with inert gas. Going back to normal atmospheric pressure would take days of careful decompression. Without it, the dissolved gas would expand and bubble through their tissues like champagne, tearing them apart from the inside. The barge lurched. Not a wave. Something worse. The entire vessel rolled 5 degrees to starboard and held there. Christ! Tommy muttered from the galley module. The young Aussie dropped his coffee cup, and it clattered across the tilting floor. That's not good. The intercom crackled. Sat team, this is topside. Dave Chen's voice, the dive supervisor, normally steady as bedrock. Now tight with controlled panic. We've got a situation. Typhoon Kai changed course 6 hours ago. She's tracking straight for us. Category 4 and strengthening. The captain is evacuating non-essential personnel. What about us? Marcus pressed the talk button. He already knew the answer. Didn't like it, but knew it. You're decompressing in place. We're not abandoning you. But the chamber can't be moved while you're under pressure. You know that. We're battening down for the storm. Should pass in 18 to 20 hours. Should. That word hung in the recycled air. Chen continued, you've got full life support, backup power, 26 hours of breathing gas in the banks. We've secured the chamber to the deck with additional tie-downs. You'll ride it out fine. The fourth man, Javier, had been silent until now. The Mexican tech had been on more sat dives than any of them, had seen things go wrong in ways that turned into training videos. Dave, he said quietly, what's the sea state looking like? A pause. Too long. 12-meter swells predicted. Could hit 15. Mother of God, Yuri whispered. 15-meter waves. 50 feet. Hitting a barge that sat maybe 8 meters above the waterline on a good day. We'll make it, Chen said, trying for confidence. The barge has survived worse. Has she? Javier asked. But Chen had already signed off. The storm hit at dawn, though they couldn't see it. No windows in a saturation chamber. Just 4 men in a steel cylinder 3 meters wide and 8 meters long, listening to the world tear itself apart outside. The barge bucked like a living thing. The chamber's internal lighting flickered as waves hammered the deck above. Everything not tied down became a projectile. Marcus wedged himself in his bunk, trying to read the dive logs, trying to pretend this was just weather. At 0920, the power died. Emergency lights kicked in, bathing everything in red. The air circulation fans stopped. In the sudden quiet, they could hear it, the deep, resonant groan of metal under stress. The barge itself, crying out. That doesn't sound good, Tommy said, his attempt at humor falling flat. The intercom stayed dead. They were cut off. Check the gauges, Marcus ordered, sliding out of his bunk. The chamber tilted another few degrees. Now at maybe 10 degrees list. Not capsizing yet, but getting there. Javier was already at the control panel. Gas banks reading full. 24 hours at current consumption. Power's on battery backup. We've got heat, lights, scrubbers. We're okay for now. For now. That phrase again. At 10:45, something enormous slammed into the barge. The impact threw Marcus against the bulkhead. Alarms shrieked. The chamber's emergency ballast system activated with a bang that made his ears ring even through the helium atmosphere. The deck tilted past 20 degrees. We're rolling, Yuri shouted. Marcus grabbed the intercom, pressed transmit over and over. Nothing. Just dead air. He looked at the others, saw his own fear reflected back. They were on their own. The barge continued its slow, inexorable roll. 25 degrees. 30. The chamber groaned against its mounting points. Through the hull, they could hear water, the sound of the ocean claiming what had been above its surface. At 35 degrees, everything in the chamber that could fall had fallen. They clung to the bunks, now tilted like beds in a funhouse. The air grew thick despite the scrubbers. Marcus's training kicked in. Shallow breaths, stay calm, conserve the gas. How long? Tommy asked. He looked young suddenly, younger than his 28 years. If the barge capsizes, we could be underwater, Javier said flatly. Chambers built to handle external pressure, but we'd be trapped. How long until someone can reach us? Tommy pressed. Marcus met his eyes. In this typhoon. Could be days. We don't have days, Yuri said. We have 23 hours of gas. The chamber tilted to 40 degrees and held there. Stopped. The barge had found some kind of equilibrium, some angle where buoyancy and ballast balanced. For now, they could still hear waves crashing, feel the impacts, but the roll had stabilized. Maybe we're okay, Tommy said. Maybe it'll hold. Nobody answered. Because they all knew, the storm had hours left to run, and a barge listing at 40 degrees was dying. It was only a matter of time. At 1,300 hours, the debate started. The emergency hatch, Javier said. He sat on what had been the wall, now the floor. It's rated for pressure. We could open it. And do what? Marcus demanded. We're at saturation. We go to surface pressure. We're dead in minutes. The bends will shred our nervous systems, throw clots to our brains and hearts. You know this. I know that if this barge goes down and we're still locked in here, we're dead in 22 hours, Javier shot back. At least the other way, there's a chance. What chance? Yuri's voice had gone quiet. Dangerous. You read the studies. Explosive decompression from 120 meters. Nobody survives that. Nobody. Almost nobody, Javier corrected. There was that Norwegian diver in '83. Decompressed from 90 meters in emergency. He lived. He was paralyzed for life, Marcus said. And that's one case. One. Better than 0 cases, Tommy said softly. They all turned to look at him. If we stay here and the barge sinks, we've got 0 chance. None. We die when the gas runs out. But if we surface... He trailed off, not wanting to complete the thought. If we surface, maybe the typhoon's past, Javier finished for him. Maybe there's a rescue boat. Maybe we get to a recompression chamber in time. Maybe the bends don't hit us all. Maybe one of us makes it. Maybe, Yuri spat. You want to bet our lives on maybe? We're already betting our lives, Marcus said quietly. Question is which bet has better odds? The silence stretched. Outside, the storm raged. The barge groaned. 41 degrees now. Still tipping. Tommy broke first. My wife just found out she's pregnant. 2 months. I haven't even told anyone else yet. His voice cracked. I need to try. I need to know I tried. Yuri looked away. Javier studied his hands. Marcus felt the weight of command, even though nobody had officially put him in charge. But he was the senior diver. His call. We wait, he said. We give them time to reach us. If the storm passes, if the barge stabilizes, maybe they can get a rescue vessel here. Maybe they can attach a hyperbaric lifeboat to our hatch, keep us under pressure. We still have time. How much time? Tommy asked. Marcus checked the gauges. 19 hours. And if they don't come? Then we decide. But not yet. Not while there's still a chance they can reach us properly. It was the compromise that let them live with the waiting. A deadline. A point at which they'd choose between different kinds of death. The barge tilted to 45 degrees. The hours crawled. They tried to sleep but couldn't. Tried to eat but had no appetite. The recycled air tasted metallic, heavy. The chamber heated up as the batteries struggled to power the environmental systems. At 1800, the storm began to ease. They felt it in the motion of the barge, still listing at 47 degrees now, but the violent pitching had smoothed. The waves, while still massive, had lost their apocalyptic fury. "Dave." Marcus called into the intercom every 15 minutes. "Topside, do you copy? Anyone?" Silence. At 2000 hours, 8 hours since they'd lost contact, Yuri cracked. "They're gone," he said flatly. "Everyone topside. They evacuated. They left us." "They wouldn't," Tommy protested. "They would if the barge was sinking. They had to. Wouldn't make sense to kill everyone to save 4 men who were probably dead anyway." "We're not dead," Marcus said. "Not yet," Yuri replied. 13 hours. At 22:30, they heard it, a faint knocking on the hull. 3 taps, pause, 3 taps. SOS in reverse. Someone was out there. Marcus grabbed a wrench, hammered on the chamber wall. 3 taps back. They waited. Nothing. The knocking didn't repeat. "Could be debris," Javier said. "Something floating against the hull." Or it could be a rescue team, Marcus thought but didn't say. Either way, they were still locked in here, still at 20 atmospheres of pressure, still trapped. At 0100, now past midnight, into their 7th day, the barge shifted again. Not a lurch this time. A slow, steady tilt. 48 degrees. 49. 50. "She's going," Yuri said. No emotion in his voice anymore. "This is it." Marcus looked at the gas gauges. 9 hours of breathing mix remaining. Less than that if the barge went fully inverted and put additional stress on the system. He looked at the hatch. It was designed for emergency escape. 1 turn of the wheel, and it would open, equalizing the chamber with outside pressure in seconds. At 120 meters depth equivalent, it would be like detonating a bomb inside their bodies. But they weren't at 120 meters depth anymore. They were on a sinking barge, maybe 15 meters above the seabed, maybe 30 meters underwater now depending on how far the vessel had rolled. The pressure differential would still be enormous, still likely fatal. But maybe not instantly fatal. "Okay," Marcus said. "We need to talk about this." They sat in a circle, as much as the tilted chamber allowed. The 4 of them, lit by emergency lights, breathing helium mix that made them sound absurd even as they discussed how they might die. "The science is bad," Marcus began. "Decompression from saturation this deep, this fast, the gas dissolved in our tissues will expand. Form bubbles. Start in the joints, move to the organs. Lungs, heart, brain. Best case, you're in agony. Worst case, you stroke out or your heart stops." "But not instant," Javier pressed. "Maybe not instant," Marcus conceded. "Depends on how much gas is in your blood. Depends on your metabolism, your body composition. Depends on luck." "How long would we have?" Tommy asked. "If we opened the hatch and surfaced? How long before the bends killed us?" Marcus had run these calculations in his head for hours. Minutes to onset. Maybe 15, 30 minutes before it gets severe. If we're lucky, an hour before it's fatal. Long enough to reach the surface. If the barge hasn't sunk completely, if the water isn't too rough, if we can swim despite the pain. Marcus shrugged. "Maybe." "And then what?" Yuri demanded. "Even if we reach the surface, even if there's a boat, we need a recompression chamber. We need to get back under pressure and decompress properly over days. You think there's a hyperbaric facility just floating around in the South China Sea after a typhoon?" "The dive support vessel could still be nearby," Javier said. "It has chambers. If we can signal them." If, Yuri interrupted. "Too many IFS. More IFS than waiting here to suffocate." Tommy shot back. The silence was heavy. "We vote," Marcus said. "Democratic. All 4 of us have to agree." "And if we don't?" Yuri asked. Then we don't open the hatch. Nobody gets forced into this. We all go, or none of us go. Javier nodded slowly.
Fair.
Tommy agreed.
Yeah, fair.
Yuri looked at each of them in turn. You know the odds are against us. The odds are against us either way, Marcus replied. The barge groaned. 52 degrees now. The chamber's mounting points screamed with stress. How long do we have to decide? Tommy asked. Marcus checked the gauges. 7 hours of gas. But if we're going to try it, we should go while we still have strength. Before we're weak from CO2 buildup and fear. Now, Javier said. You're saying we should decide now. I'm saying if we're going to do this, we do it in the next hour. While the storm has passed. While we can still think clearly. Yuri laughed. Bitter. Clearly. Right. What's your vote? Marcus asked him directly. The Russian closed his eyes. Took a breath of recycled helium mix. Opened them. I have a daughter. She's 12. I haven't seen her in 4 months because her mother moved to Moscow and I'm always on these jobs, always offshore. He wiped his face. She thinks I'm a hero. Calls me her submarine papa. If I die here, at least she'll know I went down fighting. Not just waiting. He met Marcus's gaze. I vote we try. Tommy was next. My kid won't even know me if I don't make it home. But if I do. He nodded. I'm in. Javier. Been diving 30 years. Seen men die in chambers, seen them die underwater, seen them die in hospitals after the bends caught them. If I'm going to die, I'd rather die trying to live. I vote yes. 3 votes. 3 men willing to unlock the hatch and face the killing embrace of decompression. Marcus thought of his ex-wife, of the son he barely knew because he was always offshore, always choosing the job over family. Thought of what 16 years of saturation diving had given him. Money in the bank, scars on his body, and a profound understanding of mortality. I vote yes, he said. We try. They prepared as best they could. Stripped down to dive skins. Made sure they each had a torch, even though the batteries were nearly dead. Discussed the route, out the hatch, up through the barge's corridors to the deck, then swim for the surface. Maybe 20 meters of vertical. Maybe 40 if the barge had rolled inverted. Breathe out as you go up, Marcus reminded them. Don't hold your breath or your lungs will rupture. Exhale continuously. And if we get bent? Tommy asked. Then you keep swimming. Pain is just information. Your body telling you it's being destroyed. Acknowledge it and keep moving. Jesus, Yuri muttered. At 0245 hours, they stood at the hatch. Marcus's hand on the wheel. The chamber had tilted past 55 degrees. They were nearly on their side. Outside, they could hear water lapping against the hull. The barge was flooded, maybe completely underwater now. Last chance to back out, Marcus said. No shame in it. Nobody moved. All right. Once I crack this seal, we've got maybe 5 seconds before the pressure equalizes. Then we go. No hesitation. You feel the bends hit. You keep swimming. You can't move your legs. You use your arms. You can't see. You follow sound. You don't stop until you reach air. Understood. 3 nods. Marcus looked at each of them one final time. Tommy, young and terrified but determined. Javier, old and steady, ready for whatever came. Yuri, angry and scared and brave. Good men. Brothers in the deep. See you on the surface, Marcus said. He turned the wheel. The hatch exploded outward. The pressure differential was catastrophic. 20 atmospheres to 1 in a heartbeat. Marcus felt his body rebel instantly. Joints screaming, lungs spasming, vision tunneling. Somewhere nearby, someone was screaming, but the helium made it impossible to tell who. Water flooded in, shockingly cold. The South China Sea claiming them. Marcus pushed through the hatch, into flooded corridor. His legs already felt wrong, heavy, like someone had injected concrete into the joints. He swam, pulling himself along the walls, following the layout he'd memorized from 6 days of living on this barge. Left, then right, then up the stairwell. The others were behind him, he could see their lights, could hear them thrashing in the water. Tommy was slowest, already struggling. Javier was right behind Marcus, moving with methodical efficiency even as his body broke down. The barge was inverted. The deck was now below them, and they had to swim down to reach up. Marcus's sense of direction screamed confusion, but he trusted the bubbles, trusted physics. Air goes up. Always up. His vision started to fade at the edges. His right arm wasn't responding properly. The bends, tearing through his central nervous system, cutting connections like scissors through wires. Keep swimming. He saw light. Real light, not torchlight. The surface, visible through a massive breach in the hull. The typhoon had torn the barge apart, left it gutted and drowning. Marcus swam toward the light. His legs were dead now, useless. He pulled himself along with his arms, inch by agonizing inch. His chest felt like it was full of broken glass. Every breath was fire. Behind him, he heard Yuri cry out, a sound of pure agony. Then silence. Either he'd passed out or he was dead. Marcus kept swimming. The breach was close now. 3 meters. 2. He could see sky, grey and storm-wrecked but sky nonetheless. Could see waves, angry and rough but navigable. 1 meter. His arms failed. Both of them, simultaneously, like someone had cut the strings of a puppet. He hung in the water, sinking, unable to move. This is it, he thought. This is where I die. After all that, 20 meters short of survival. Then hands grabbed him. Javier, face twisted in pain but still moving, dragged Marcus through the breach and up. They broke the surface together. The air was the sweetest thing Marcus had ever tasted. They floated in the wreckage field. Debris everywhere, bits of the barge, equipment, drums of diesel fuel. The sea was rough, 2-meter swells, but nothing compared to the typhoon's fury. Dawn was breaking, grey and cold. Tommy surfaced 10 seconds after them, gasping and crying. His left side seemed paralyzed, but he was alive, swimming with one arm and kicking with one leg. They waited for Yuri. Counted seconds that became minutes. He didn't surface. Can't go back, Javier wheezed. His speech was slurred, one side of his face drooping. Stroke symptoms. Can't help him. They knew. In their hearts, they knew Yuri was gone. The bends had taken him, somewhere in the flooded barge, before he could reach the breach. Marcus wanted to cry but couldn't. His body had nothing left for grief. Boat, Tommy said, pointing with his good arm. On the horizon, maybe a kilometer away, the dive support vessel. It had weathered the storm, stayed in the area. They'd come back. Marcus tried to wave but couldn't lift his arms. Javier blew his emergency whistle. One short blast before he started coughing blood. The boat changed course. Heading toward them. We're going to make it, Tommy said, delirious. We're actually going to make it. Marcus wasn't so sure. They were bent badly, all of them. Even if the support vessel had recompression chambers, even if they could stabilize them and begin the long treatment, the damage might be permanent. Paralysis. Brain damage. Organ failure. But they were breathing. They were on the surface. They were alive. The dive support vessel grew larger, cutting through the waves. Marcus could see people on deck, see them launching a rescue boat. He looked at Javier and Tommy, his brothers in the deep. Looked at the empty water where Yuri should have been. See you on the surface, he whispered. Tears finally coming. We made it, Yuri. We made it. The rescue boat reached them. Hands pulled them aboard. Someone was talking about chambers, about treatment, about how they'd gotten there as fast as they could. Marcus heard none of it. He stared at the sky, grey and vast and beautiful and wrong. 3 of them had survived. 1 hadn't. But they had tried. When faced with the choice between dying slowly in the dark or taking a desperate chance at life, they had chosen the light. Sometimes, Marcus would learn in the years to come, that was enough. Sometimes the only way out of the deep was to swim toward the pain, through the pain, beyond it. Sometimes you made it. Sometimes you didn't. But you always tried. If you liked the fisherman's story, hit the like button, subscribe for more, And share this story with your friends.